Hello. Thought we could talk today about the Tehran Conference. It's one of the first key conferences of the Cold War. It was in Tehran. It was in 1943. Now, before we talk about the Tehran Conference, it's important to understand what was happening during the Second World War. Hopefully you realise that there was an alliance against Nazi Germany, and in that alliance was Britain, America and the USSR. Now, they were all fighting against against Germany, sorry. Russia had joined the alliance after the Nazi invasion of Russia in 1941. That's Operation Barbarossa. So they were the leaders of the three countries, and they decided in 1943, look, we better meet up and try and work out, what we're going to do about Hitler and what's going on in the war, what we should be sorting out. So they met in Tehran, which is the capital of Iran, in 1943, and the three leaders were Churchill of Britain, Roosevelt of America, and Stalin of Russia. Okay, it's important you know those three guys. Now the aim was to improve relations between those three gentlemen and those three countries, those three allies. It's known as the Wartime Alliance, the Grand Alliance. So they met up and they had 4 agreements. They agreed 4 things. The first one was that Britain and America, who were pretty much based in Britain at this time, were going to open a second front against Germany. Now the first front was Germany against Russia in the Eastern Front. And that meant that actually Russia was having to do all the fighting against Germany, and Germany was just concentrating on fighting Russia. So what the Russians hoped was that if America and Britain joined on the other side, the German forces would have to divide, and it would be much easier, therefore, for the Russians. It's called the opening of the Second Front. And the British and the Americans agreed that they would invade France in May 1944. That's D-Day. Secondly, Russia agreed that they would help the Allies fight against Japan. So the Allies would help Russia, and Russia would help the Allies, Britain and America. The third thing they agreed was that United Nations would be set up after the war to sort out disputes and create peace. And the fourth area, which actually is quite an important one, was that the Allies agreed that an area of eastern Poland would be added to Russia, to the USSR. Okay, so 4 main areas of agreement. So all in all, it's pretty positive. Russia's going to help the Britain and America against Japan. America and Britain are going to help Russia against Germany. There's going to be United Nations after the war to stop war, and Russia's going to get a little sliver of Poland to sort of add to Russia. But there were 4 strains, 4 problems. Okay. Now the first of which has to do with Britain and America joining and opening the Second Front. Stalin was angry because he felt that Britain and America had delayed opening this Second Front for too long, and he was a bit suspicious, and he figured that actually the reason why Britain and America were doing this is because they hoped that Germany and Russia would fight so much that actually they'd both be super weak, and then when Britain and America joined in, it'd be easier to defeat Germany and then Russia. They were very, very, very suspicious and distrustful. Secondly, and this kind of links to the first point, is that the British leader, Churchill, you may have heard of him, he's kind of famous, was extremely anti-communist and very, very, very suspicious of Stalin. The third thing is that it comes to do with Poland. Now, you may or may not know that actually the reason why the Second World War started for Britain was that Britain declared war on Germany when Germany invaded Poland. That was the 3rd of the 9th, 1939. Easy to remember, 3939. And the reason Britain got involved was because it wanted to protect the independence of Poland. But actually what Stalin wanted was complete control of Poland to prevent any further invasions of Russia. He wanted it to be part of his buffer zone. Now that's going to feature a little bit later in another one of these things on Soviet expansion. So Poland's an area of contention. All right? They both have different aims about what they want for Poland. And the fourth one is also linked to Poland as well. I did say it was quite an important place. Now, in August 1944, there was a thing called the Warsaw Uprising. Now, Warsaw is the capital of Poland. And there was a huge uprising there by the Poles in Warsaw against the German occupiers. Now, the reason for this uprising was because the Russians were they were coming in and they were getting really close to Warsaw, and the Poles thought, right, we'll uprise, we'll help the Russians get rid of the Germans. And what the Russians did was they kind of stopped outside Warsaw, and the Germans were in there thinking, oh, okay. And when the uprising occurred, the Germans crushed the Warsaw Uprising. I mean, it was horrible. They absolutely destroyed the Polish resistance. Once that happened, then the Russians put their tanks into gear again and drove into Warsaw and liberated Poland and Warsaw. Now, the advantage for the Russians was there was no opposition at all in Poland because the Germans had killed them all. And Poland was therefore was completely defenceless against the Soviet occupation. And that was all part of Stalin's plan, many people think, because Stalin wanted to create a buffer zone, a system of countries all around the outside of Russia to act as almost a sponge in case of further attack. So if anyone attacked, they would have to fight in Eastern Europe in the satellite states before they got to Russia. Okay, so Tehran Conference, pretty straightforward. 4 areas of agreement, 4 areas of disagreement, pretty straightforward. Okay, hopefully that makes a bit more sense to you. Cool, bye.